I'm here with Premier Scott Moe. So, Premier, it's been a year full of changes for you. A lot of changes in terms of trade policy, in terms of your federal counterpart. I want to ask you, what's your highlight from this year?
This past year, I mean, everything's changed, and if it changed in a way you didn't like, wait till tomorrow, and it might change probably in another way that you don't like either. And so, things are changing internationally, nationally, and have been changing within the province as well. I think actually, one of the highlights for me personally this year, or professionally, I guess you'd say, is actually just the foundation that I see starting to come together and this would be unexpected for your listeners, but the foundation that I see coming together in healthcare. With the increasing number of people that are starting to choose healthcare and choose Saskatchewan as their home and healthcare as their career. And there's some great and rewarding things, achievements that can happen in that career. But in order for us to, be able to attract people to deliver healthcare services in the Saskatchewan community, it needs to be an attractive offer. That's larger than any financial offer. It's the offer of what Saskatchewan and the Saskatchewan community and what the Saskatchewan Health Authority can offer. But I'm starting to see the numbers. This numbers increase, whether it's physicians, nurses, whatever that might be. And that isn't true across Canada. That isn't true across Canada. And so that isn't showing us, I think, the results that we expect as families that live here yet today. However, it's providing the foundation for what we're going to be able to achieve in the future as we start to look at how we deliver healthcare services in a much more innovative way. And so the thing that I think is going to prove to be one of the larger steps forward this past year actually isn't really noticed by anyone in the province yet. However, it's our hope that we will be able to in the not too distant future.
Do you have any regrets? Anything that you maybe wish you could take back or do differently?
Yeah, I have many. I'm human, right? And I make mistakes every day. But I've publicly said this as well. But in one decision that I made, and just a function of being busy, and which is not an excuse, but was I should have been in Denair Beach earlier. We've made some decisions along the way to, support evacuees, some financial decisions like providing funding to the Red Cross to further support individuals and families through that challenging time. Decisions since then to help clean up, rebuild, and I think we have more decisions to make in fire smarting that community. But I should have been there. I should have been there to listen and to learn, and I made a mistake.
Why weren't you there? Why did it, I guess, take you so long to get there?
As we were, finding our way through the decisions that were there, Minister MacLeod and the SBSA, but others were in contact with the community. Their needs were well raised at the cabinet table. We were making those decisions. We had, a number of other things to go, going on. As we say, it doesn't seem that hard to stay busy in this day and age. And I should have freed up my schedule and found my way there sooner. And I didn't, and I regret that, and I apologized for it. But at the time as well, the government, and I stand by this, was making decisions that were supporting the community with the conversations that Minister MacLeod was having. But I should have been there to look people in the eye and to listen to the stories and to tell them that the government is not only here to support the community and the families today, but into the future.
How do you balance having to be the person that looks them in someone in the eye, and then maybe the larger role of being the leader of the government?
Therein lies the challenge. It's a balance of time, and I should have made time to go to Denair Beach, and I had a number of other things that I was making time for, all related to the broader leadership and opportunities on behalf of the people that we represent. But therein lies in that very decision a lapse in judgment of mine, a personal lapse in judgment of mine, of which I apologize for. However, when you look at the other side of what's going on globally and internationally and in our nation and even in our province, there are a lot of things that require the government's attention and often require my attention as well.
Speaking on the national front, one of the changes this year was Prime Minister Mark Carney. You've obviously said your relationship with the federal government, with Ottawa, is better than ever. Why do you think that is?
Better than ever might be a reach, but it's certainly better than it has been. better than ever since I've been premier, for that matter. And hey, listen, new guy, new approach. He collaborates as opposed to dictates on, what policies are moving forward. He listens. And we may not agree, but at least our voice is being heard through the policy development that it appears, at least, through the policy development that the federal government is making. That's appreciated. He's increasing Canada's credibility, and he's committed to increasing Canada's credibility in the international trade, the trade space. We've always been a supporter and a proponent of that, and we will help do that as well. But here's one of the larger changes as well, is in addition to it being a different person, Prime Minister Carney versus former Prime Minister Justin Trudeau. Previously in Saskatchewan, we had Prime Minister Justin Trudeau making unconsulted policy decisions that were impacting how we create wealth in industries that are creating wealth and jobs in Saskatchewan communities. Today, we have international leaders that are very much, raising and changing trade relations, talking about tariffs and market access, and we need to come together as provincial leaders and our federal prime minister in defending our Canadian economy that is, sputtering at times right now, in particular in certain industries. And so, the environment has changed. Our relationship with international partners, our relationship certainly with the new prime minister versus the old prime minister has changed to some degree. And that's a welcome step, I think, and a welcome change from our perspective.
How do you get along personally with Mr. Carney? You obviously you have some agreements on policy, but do you get along with him on a personal level?
Yeah, I think fine. I've always said, even with the previous fella, that the personal relationship, it may help or hinder to some degree, but we're all here to get a job done and to represent our constituents and to come together as Canadians where we can as well. And that seems to be more of an opportunity today than it was even a few years ago under the previous Prime Minister. So, as I say, a step in the right direction, and I think it's precipitated a significant tone difference from myself and the government of Saskatchewan. And we're hopeful. If Prime Minister Carney is successful with a trade deal with the United States, with China, with India, removing tariffs on most of the products that come out of our province and our nation for that matter, he'd be successful, and I think arguably we'd be successful in Saskatchewan as well, and we want that.
As a subnational leader, how do you deal with the effects of a national leader like Donald Trump, whose policies can directly affect you, but you don't really have an avenue to deal with them necessarily? How do you, as the Premier of Saskatchewan, approach dealing with Donald Trump?
Well, herein lies the role of a subnational government, is to provide every opportunity for success between your nation and that nation. So in the case of the United States of America and President Trump, we need to make sure that any conversations that we have, and we've had many recently, are leading our nation of Canada closer to the negotiating table, which we aren't at the moment, or closer actually to a deal in any way that we can. And so that is the role of a subnational government. How a subnational government can be somewhat helpful in that role is if you have contacts within that said country's administration. We went through a number of years where the international credibility of Canada was not a priority for the Prime Minister of this nation. Today we have a Prime Minister that is making that international credibility and the trade relations that we have a priority. We welcome that change, and we're going to support that change by being one of the first premiers in Canada to be on the ground in China in over 6 years, and bringing with us the parliamentary secretary to the Prime Minister to start to bring those negotiations to light and to fruition. Same in India, and trying to use the contacts that we have in the United States of America in the same way. We need a successful agreement between Canada and the U.S., Canada, China, Canada, India, as well as many others, in order for Saskatchewan to be successful. And so we're busy supporting the federal government in getting to those negotiating tables and getting ultimately to a space where we have free, open, and tariff-free trade.
How do you ensure your voice and Saskatchewan's voice is heard? You obviously have your priorities, you have your constituents that you're trying to voice policy for, but obviously there are other premiers whose policies conflict with that. So how do you ensure that when you go to the Prime Minister, Mark Carney, that your complaints, your issues are taken seriously?
Yeah, and I would say that this, any trade negotiation, we're seeing some of the sector by sector challenges, for example, with the United States of America, whether it be steel, whether it be autos, whether, and then indirect canola and other conversations that come from that. We shouldn't be, as Canadians, prepared to trade one sector off for another. We need to be prepared to go to the table and to negotiate the best trade agreement ultimately that we can, understanding that there's different areas of Canada that produce different items, and those are in different levels of need and want, whether they're need or a want by countries around the world. And some have other markets, some certainly do not. And so it's much more complex than having your voice heard. I think we all will use our voice as provincial premiers. And at the end of the day, it'll be the Prime Minister and his negotiating team that will go to that table. We have our voice heard directly with him, with the ministers, but also with the relations that we have with the country that we're trying to bring ultimately to the table on the other side as well. And we often talk about, the ability that Saskatchewan has in being part of that energy and food security supply chain for to date about 160 countries around the world, but obviously about 10 of those are more significant than the others in simply the numbers that we have. So I think all premiers are trying to have their voice heard with the Prime Minister. And at the end of the day, I guess what we see come out of the tunnel with respect to whether it's a renewed trade agreement or what that is going to provide us with the answer as to whether or not he listened and who he may have listened to.
Your leadership review at the Saskatchewan Party Convention, I guess you scored lower than you had previously. What do you say? What do you think that says about your leadership in the Saskatchewan Party?
Yeah, well, I don't know what it was because I didn't ask. However, it was and it is what it is in what is I think politically an equally uncertain world to what we see happening, globally. There is the challenges around, increasing your voter support, whether it be in Saskatchewan or any other province across the nation, or whether it be federally. The challenges and the certainty of what is a very uncertain environment are very real, and we feel those here in Saskatchewan. That's not to say in any way that, should a government or a leader ever be satisfied with where you land with whatever that support is on a given day, whether that's election day, leadership review day, whatever that might be. But here's what I see as the opportunity for our province and for our political party as well, is the opportunity to provide certainty in a very uncertain environment. We've had two leaders that have been premiers in the last 18 years. We have a stable caucus and a stable cabinet that has experience governing, has experience engaging with people and so when you look at the very uncertain global atmosphere we have, whether it be trade, whether it be global conflicts that we see, whether you see things changing rapidly at the Canadian leadership level, same party, new leader. All of the things that have changed there over the course of the past year. Saskatchewan continues to be a place where we can be certain about probably more than any other province across the nation. And I think the Saskatchewan Party plays a small role in that, but I think it more so is the even-keeled steadiness of the people that live here in communities right across this province. And so I'm grateful for the support. Personally at leadership conventions, that's one conversation, but I'm very, very grateful for the support that people have provided this party over the last close to 2 decades as we've had the honor to form government. And, we're going to continue to ask for that into the future.
One of the discussions that came out of that convention was how to win back the cities. I guess the result shows that you still maintained a majority government. Does winning in the cities still matter? Is that still a goal?
Yes. We have 2 significant cities, but I'd put down we have in excess of 10 cities in the province here now. I think 17 at last count, because our province has been growing over the last number of years. There's 2 cities where we currently do not have a representative. One city, Regina, where we don't have a representative. And we are fully intent on, engaging and finding our way back to have some representation in those cities. It's not lost on us that, the seat count that we lost in the last election did come out of the two largest centers. We still have represent most, if not virtually all, of the other cities outside of Saskatoon and Regina. But there's some work for us to do there, and we're intent on doing that work so that we can have the honor to represent at least some of the ridings in those two major urban centers. And it's a message sent to some degree, and certainly was heard by this governing party.
I guess, how do you plan to win those cities back? How do you plan to get those seats back?
Yeah, you listen. Very much listen and commit to represent as we have the time in government. That, one of the things, for example, that I hear from families, whether it be in Saskatoon, Regina, or anywhere else in the province for that matter, is we need to improve our access to healthcare. In particular, our time to a surgery and the ability that we have to get in front of a healthcare provider. We are seeing changes coming in the investment and in the structure. I talked earlier about healthcare, increasing the number of healthcare people, the human resource. But there's also a new way at looking at how we deliver healthcare services. And I'll provide the example of the urgent care center here in Regina, pulling people out of the emergency wait times that we had, the emergency room wait times that we had. Also allowing people a more urgent level of service or a quicker level of service than maybe waiting 10 days or 2 weeks for their primary health care provider. All of that is important in having access to a primary health care provider. And then there's the whole conversation around the other entry point for those family members and friends or community members that may be struggling with mental health or all too often a life of addictions and have made a decision to access some help. We have that entry point in that urgent care center as well. And so the one in Regina was a pilot project. We're going to build another one in Regina, 2 in Saskatoon, 1 in Prince Albert, Moose Jaw, and North Battleford. That is a successful pilot project, a new and innovative way to provide access to a healthcare provider, to provide access to mental health and addiction supports, all the while starting to reduce some of the pressures that we're seeing in our emergency rooms. That's exciting. And that is, one example of what I have heard from individuals and families that live, in the suburbs and our larger centers, but also across Saskatchewan is, I need better access to my healthcare services, and this is a way that we're going to be able to provide that. But one step, there's many other initiatives that will layer into this to provide, Saskatchewan people the level of healthcare and the access to healthcare that they've come to expect.
Premier, you've won 2 majority governments. You've earned those majority governments, I guess. What drives you? What do you want to continue addressing in this province? You've said you want to continue running in the next provincial election. Why?
I want this province to be a place where kids don't have to leave. I want this province to be a place where that next generation, the 20, 22, 25, 28-year-old, where they can actually choose to have a career in a community where they were either raised or in any Saskatchewan community. They don't have to leave to Alberta or Ontario or British Columbia or wherever it might be to actually find a good paying career. I want them to be able to stay in Saskatchewan, not only because of that career, but so that they can raise their family here. This is a very special place. It's a special place to be raised, and it's a special place to be able to make that decision to stay here and raise your family here, and it's because of the people. It certainly isn't because of the weather, although I love the winter and the summer, but it's because of the people. I said earlier, the calm, steady nature of Saskatchewan people, that shows through in our communities, and it shows through in how our communities come together to cheer one another on at the hockey rink, at the parades, at the community events that we have. This is a special place in the world, and it's the best place in the world, and I want it to be a viable choice for that next generation. That's why I ran in 2011, and that's why I run today.
And you've said it before, but I want to maybe ask you again, you're committed to continuing to run in the next provincial election?
Looking forward to it. I understand all of the conversation around a politician having a shelf life and all of these various things. I still believe in this province. I still believe in this party, and I believe in all that we can become. And I see some very choppy waters in the near term. I see all the opportunities in the distance, but some very choppy waters in the near term. a time when this province needs a steady hand, and it needs a hand that is going to double down to your comments of whether it be urban centers or across the province, double down on our commitment to listening to Saskatchewan people and making decisions on their behalf. That's what this government's committed to, is a strong, safe, sustainable future. And that is certainly what I'm committed to providing as well, is that steady hand to lead us to that future.
Okay, I have a few fun questions
Sure.
for you now.
Those weren't the fun ones?
Those weren't the fun ones. No. Do you have a favorite Christmas movie that you like watching around?
Christmas movie. Let's see. Everyone loves Home Alone and all of those things. I used to actually like watching Die Hard a little bit when no one else was around. But let's see. With we've been, so we have some kids running around the house every now and again, and there's a new movie out. It's not really a Christmas movie, but I can sing all of their songs, and it's called K-pop Demon Hunters. The new movie in our place is K-pop Demon Hunters.
So are you singing along then with for K-pop?
Oh yeah, for sure. For sure. Soda. It's how does it? Is it soda pop?
In terms of favorite place to vacation at winter time specifically, where is
Home.
it?
Odd answer, right? I love going home. I spend enough time away from home. There's nothing better for me, to go home, see family and friends, and especially when my family is all able to come there as well. No better time than Christmas. I love where I live, and I love going home, and I love spending time there with all of the people that I knew growing up from various ages and generations. There's great places to be in the world. I haven't had a lot of time to go to them on vacation in the last number of years, but I'm probably most excited to go home when I know my family is going to be there and there's going to be friends around that have time to go ice fishing or to have that family hockey tournament. As I find my way through the decades, home becomes the place to be.
Especially from here, you have to spend so much time in Regina. Is it kind of a place of solace, a place of relaxation for you to be back home?
It's where I'm from. It's where I live. I walk down the street at home, and it's just Scott, like you were, young again, and it's just home, and it's the most wonderful place for me to go, and I look forward to it all of the time. Very thankful for all that I get to see and do over the course of a year, and the people I get to talk to across the province. And I think many people, whether you be from Assiniboia, whether you be from Larange, Kamsack, wherever that is, when you have some time away from home and you get to come home to your family and your friends, that it's the most special place in the world. And I get to go there and appreciate it, virtually every week.
I do remember you mentioned during the First Minister's Conference, you mentioned ATVing and inviting Doug Ford, and I think you even invited the Prime Minister. Yeah. Is that one of the highlights for you during the winter months?
Yeah, that's good. Skidooing now in this time of year. However, I did get a set of tracks for my side-by-side, so we can go all year round in that as well. But I said earlier, people might not move here for the weather; they might move here for a career. I love the weather here, whether it's cross-country skiing, skidooing, side-by-siding, whatever it is in the winter, ice fishing. And then in the summertime, it's some of the most beautiful, longest days, beautiful weather, beautiful lakes. Being outside, doing whatever it is, we're so fortunate to live here. And if you're scared of the weather, my encouragement would be to dress appropriately and give it a try, because some of the greatest enjoyment I have is being outside, regardless of what season it is, and being outside with those that you love and care about makes it even better.
Awesome. Well, Premier, thank you very much.
Hey, thank you to you, and I wish you, your family, and all your listeners just a very Merry Christmas, and I hope that you can find the blessings and a reason to be thankful this year.
Awesome. Thank you.